Welcome to Rise Up in Business, the law podcast for small business owners. I'm your host, Tracy Milacrane. I'm a business lawyer, an entrepreneur, and very much a realist. Rise Up in Business is designed to share with small business owners important legal information and some clever tips and tricks in short and sharp episodes, no legal jargon. With this podcast, I want to empower small business owners to rise up and take control in their business. I'll be here every Wednesday to tell you exactly what you need to know without sending you to sleep. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome to episode 4. I'm absolutely loving recording these episodes for my listeners, and I am so grateful for the listeners who have taken the time to get in touch with me after listening to the first 3 episodes and provide me with some really lovely and wonderful feedback in relation to the content and how I'm delivering these episodes. What I really want this podcast to do is reach more small business owners to help with all things legal, which is important for small businesses. And I'm so delighted that I seem to be hitting the mark so far. Let's hope that continues. In today's episode, I want to talk about what I mean when I say business legals. I talk about business legals a lot. I've talked about them in the first 3 episodes, and I will continue to talk about them because I think that business legals for a small business are vital. I want to focus today on businesses that sell services as opposed to an e-commerce business. So we'll get to that in another episode later in this season. But today I'm focusing on businesses that sell services. So what are business legals? Business legals are the cornerstone of any small business. So they are a suite of legal documents that govern how a business interacts and serves its clients. Your business legals will set out what you do as a business, what it is the client can expect from you, and what a business expects from the clients. Obviously, one of the fundamentals is the service that's provided and the payment that will be received, but it's a lot more than that. The most common business legals are business terms and conditions, often referred to as a service agreement or terms of trade, website terms and conditions, because let's face it, most businesses these days have a website. If you have a website, you need website terms and conditions. And the third one is a privacy policy. Lots of people ask me, is there a difference between my business terms and conditions and my website terms and conditions? The answer is yes. They are separate sets of legals and both do different things. If you find this confusing, trust me, all will be cleared up by the end of this season of my podcast. And for e-commerce businesses, your website terms and conditions are the most critical part of your legals. But I'll talk more about that in a few weeks. So, who needs business legals? Every business needs a suite of business legals. So whether the business is a service-based business or a products-based business, whether it's new, established, whether you're pivoting, it does not matter. You need business legals. So there's a couple of reasons for that. One is you need to be able to govern the client relationship. So you need to govern the relationship between the business and your client, your customer, your consumer. Depending on what your business is, depends on which term you use for your consumer. You need to be able to govern that relationship. The second reason why you need your business legals is because you need to ensure that your business is legally compliant. And the most fundamental thing to focus on here is the Australian consumer law. I'm actually going to talk more about the Australian consumer law in the next episode, so watch out for that one. The third reason why we need our business legals in small business is to demonstrate professionalism to our clients or our customers or consumers. They're the 3 reasons. I will talk more at the end about what can happen if you don't have your business legals, but first I just wanted to jump in and answer some questions that people ask me a lot. The first one, I'm a small business, can I create my own? No, not if you want the business to achieve the 3 primary objectives that I just set out. To govern the relationship with the consumer, to ensure the business is legally compliant, particularly with the consumer law, and to demonstrate professionalism. No, I genuinely don't think that you can cobble up your own to hit those 3 targets. The truth is we don't know what we don't know. And that's perfectly fine. That's okay. That's why we surround ourselves with experts and people who do know what they're doing. So when we're talking about business legals, unless you are a business lawyer who understands your business legals and understands the ins and outs and technicalities and all the things it's supposed to do, then my strong advice is no, don't try to do them yourself. That brings me into the next one. Can I use a template? Templates are something that I generally don't support. Sure, there may be circumstances where a template's okay. My view is that when we're talking business legals, because they are so critical, no, I genuinely don't think that templates are okay for your business legals. Your business legals need to be tailored to your business. They need to cover exactly what it is that you do and how you do it. This is not the time to take a cookie cutter approach. If you haven't heard me say this yet, you will if you continue to listen. DIY is for Bunnings, not for your legals. The reality is, because we don't know what we don't know, we genuinely don't know what they're supposed to do. We might have a bit of an idea, but it's not comprehensive. And the truth is, you're not going to know whether or not your legals stack up until you need to rely on them. And then if they fall short, it's too late. Prevention's better than cure. The time to get expert help with your legals is at the beginning when you're drafting them, not later down the track when you realise that the copy that you copied from a friend isn't really stacking up because you're now in a dispute and your legals will let you down. But again, I'm going to talk about an example of what can happen when you don't have business legals, and I'll do that in a couple of minutes. The next question I'm asked a lot is, now that I know what business legals are, what's the process involved with getting them done? I can't talk for other people, but I can certainly explain what my process is. I have a 4-step process that I work through when I'm tailoring business legals for a client. 1, we talk. I actually really need to understand your business because I need to know what you do, what you don't do, and how you do what you do and why. Once I know that, I go away and I draft a set of legals for you and I email them to you. I email them to you often with comments and questions because there might be a few gaps or things I specifically want to explain to you, or a couple of areas that I might want to tailor a little more. The 3rd step is we talk again. So we jump on a phone or a Zoom call and we actually go through the drafts so that I can explain to you what they are and how they work. You can answer my questions. I can provide the advice to you that I'd like to, and then I can answer all of your questions. By this stage, you actually know what these documents do and you know how to use them. Then the final step is I go away and finalise or amend those documents to get them to the standard that I'm happy with so that I can present you with a beautiful set of legals ready to use straight away. If you're working with me and you have a business logo or a colour palette, then we incorporate all of that so that they're branded to suit your business. Highly tailored, highly personalised to your business. So then someone says to me, all right, but why should I get stuck into getting these done now? Perhaps I'll just do it later. Sure, you can do that. My advice though is your business legals should be sophisticated and they are an extension of your business. So they should be tailored to suit exactly what you do. You don't put your website off until later. You don't put servicing your clients off until later. You genuinely shouldn't put your legals off until later. You want to be able to get paid from your clients. Your clients need to know what it is they can expect from you. There's a ton of reasons why this is not something you should put off. And I'll go back again and say it again, prevention is better than cure. If you get your legals done properly, they should set crystal clear expectations for your clients so your clients know exactly what to expect from you and what you can expect of them. They should prioritise value and getting paid. Of course, that's an important one. They should allow you to create long-term positive relationships with your clients, and they really should reflect the highest level of professionalism for your business. What good business legals will do is help you avoid unnecessary, time-consuming and often expensive, can be soul-destroying, disputes and legal proceedings with clients when something goes wrong. So here's an example of what can happen if you don't have proper business legals. A client came to me about a month or so ago and she wanted me to help her out of a sticky situation. She ended up in a sticky situation with one of her clients because there were no business legals in place, so there was no agreement with what was to be done, but they knew each other quite well, so they thought all will be okay. First thing she does is come to me to ask, this is what's happened, I'm really stressed, can you help me? Of course I can, and the first thing I do is ask for a copy of the business legals or the service agreement, but there wasn't one. So what that means is I need to dig in, Lots of questions, lots of emails back and forth, lots of my client digging around trying to recall details of conversations because there's nothing to give me. My client has a recollection of something being agreed. Her client has a recollection of something else being agreed. So we have misaligned expectations. And because I don't have a document to start with, I actually need to get to the bottom of what was it that was agreed. And as we all know in business, there's room for miscommunication and misunderstanding, and this scenario was no different. Both parties were clearly very upset because my client thought that she had delivered above and beyond what was required of her, but her client was disappointed because she didn't think my client had done enough. Obviously then, both parties are dissatisfied. We then get into a dispute about payment, and it was significant. Neither party set out to do anything wrong here. I spoke to both sides. I spoke to my client and I spoke to her client. Both parties were approaching this genuinely because there had been a genuine misunderstanding. So yes, we resolved it. Yes, I was able to achieve an outcome here where there was a middle ground reached. But unfortunately, what that means is that neither party walked away happy. So both were a little bruised, both were a little sad, both were incredibly disappointed. All of that could have been avoided if my client had have had a proper service agreement in place. I can happily say now that she does. We drafted a beautiful set of legals for her, and she now happily uses it every single time she enters into a new client engagement because she has experienced firsthand what can happen if you don't. So it cost her money, it cost her time, it was very stressful, but it's cost her a client. So that client won't come back to her and that client won't refer clients to her. So to wrap up today's episode, when I say business legals, what I mean are your business terms and conditions, which is often your business services agreement or your terms of trade, your website terms and conditions, and your privacy policy. I'm going to talk more in another episode about website documents, and I'm going to talk more in another episode about e-commerce businesses. But the takeaway for today, which I hope you've got, is that business legals really are the key foundations to any business. So the risk when you don't have them is considerable. It's just not worth it. Prevention is better than cure. It'll save you time, money, and a whole heap of grief if you have your documents set up properly as soon as possible. I hope that's been of value. If you have any questions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to reach out. That's what I'm here for. That's it for today's episode. Short and sharp, just like I promised. If you liked the episode, be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes, and I would be most grateful if you would leave a review on Apple Podcasts. As always, remember to keep your business legals in order with my Business Legal Strength Check. Grab your free copy by heading over to my website, tmsolicitor.com.au. I'll catch you next Wednesday. Thanks so much for listening.